Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Strife-Hayes, and this is a complete beginner's guide to the Elder Scrolls Online. This guide is designed for people who have never played an MMORPG before and will cover absolutely everything you'll need to know to start your adventure through the lands of Tamriel. Before we begin, consider dropping a like on the video or subscribing to the channel for more MMO stuff, and click the bell so you don't miss a single video. A huge thank you to all my supporters on Patreon and Twitch who make all my content possible. Right, let's begin. This guide is extremely long and detailed and fully comprehensive. It will cover every aspect of the game, from installation through your first few hours of play, and finally some handy tips and tricks. If you know what you're after, you can jump to any section using the timecodes in the description below, but if you're brand new to the world of the Elder Scrolls Online, then grab a drink and settle in. We have a lot to cover. The Elder Scrolls Online is an MMORPG, that stands for Massively Multiplayer Online Role-Playing Game. It's an always online game where you can journey through the epic land of Tamriel and rise from a lowly adventurer to a legendary hero. The Elder Scrolls Online is set in the same fictional universe as all other previous Elder Scrolls games, from Arena in 1993 through Daggerfall, Morrowind, Oblivion and Skyrim, meaning if you've played these games, you'll be able to visit the same familiar locations. The game is available on PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox One and Series X and S, Windows PC, Mac and the Stadia gaming service. However, playing on a specific platform means you'll only be able to interact with other people also on that platform. If you're playing on PlayStation, you can only team up with other PlayStation users. If you're on Xbox, you'll be on the Xbox servers. If you're playing through Google Stadia, you'll be with the PC users, as Stadia uses PC servers. While PC users will most likely use a keyboard and mouse to play, you can use a game controller. The Elder Scrolls Online is actually remarkably easy to play with a controller and features complete key remapping. We'll look at this a bit later. If you want to play the game, you'll first need to buy it. While most online games require a monthly subscription to keep playing, the Elder Scrolls Online does things a little differently. Once you've bought the core game, you can play forever. You don't need a monthly subscription. The price for the core game varies between £5 and £15, or $10 and $20 depending on the sales. Once you own the core game, you'll be ready to log in and play. But that's not all there is to it. The additional content can get a bit confusing, so let's break it down in a super simple way. The core game is all you need to play, the Elder Scrolls Online. This is a several 100-hour-long journey with absolutely loads to do, but there are various expansions and additional downloadable content available, from small add-ons like individual quests to massive expansions and whole new continents. You won't need to worry about these too much, but just so you know what they are. The largest expansions are known as chapters, and they are Morrowind, which includes the entire Vardenfell region, a new class and the battleground mode; Somerset, which includes the Somerset zone and a new skill line; Elsewhere, which brings a new zone and the Necromancer class; and Greymoor, which lets you adventure around Skyrim and includes a storyline about vampires. In a pretty nice touch, when you buy the core game, you'll actually get the Morrowind chapter included entirely for free. There's loads more smaller content available, from the Thieves Guild to the Dark Brotherhood expansions to the Clockwork City, but you can buy these in the future when you feel ready for them. You don't need to start with them. If you decide you'd like immediate and complete access to all chapters and content and you don't want to buy everything individually, you can look into becoming an ESO Plus member. ESO Plus is an optional monthly subscription service. It costs about £10 or $15 a month and will give you access to all additional content except for the very latest chapter. In this case, that's Greymoor. Even as an ESO Plus member, you do still need to pay for the latest expansion or wait 1 year for it to become available on the ESO Plus service. ESO Plus is really aimed at the more established players, so you don't need to worry about this for now. So let's say you've bought the core game. You've got the Morrowind chapter for free, you've installed everything, and now you're ready to play. Let's begin by making our character. For the footage in this guide, I'll be playing on the PC version of the game. Console users will still be able to follow along just fine, but I'll be referring to mouse and keyboard controls throughout. Once you've launched the game, click on the little Create Character button to the bottom right. Now we can start creating our character. To the top right, you'll see 4 icons. Make sure you're on the first one, the symbol of 3 animal heads eating each other, known as an Ouroboros. This is the race selection. Use the male or female icons below to choose your character's gender, then we get to pick a specific alliance and race. The world of Tamriel is in a constant battle for dominance between three major alliances: the Daggerfall Covenant, the Aldmeri Dominion, and the Ebonheart Pact. Which race you choose will determine which alliance you're in. Don't worry too much about this choice. Although each race does get a slight racial bonus to a specific skill, it's a very minute bonus. And you won't be limited on what you can or can't do. Choose what you like the look of. Under the Daggerfall Covenant Alliance symbol, you'll see the column of the three available races: the magically inclined Bretons, the muscular and imposing Orcs, and the skilled sword users, the Red Guards. Within the central Aldmeri Dominion column, you've got the spellcasting High Elves, the champion archers, the Wood Elves, or the stealthy cat-like Khajiit. And the Ebonheart Pact is made up of the hardy, resilient Argonians, the dual-wielding Dark Elves, and the frost-resistant great weapon-using Nords. For this guide, I'm going to make a Nord. Now go to the next icon along the top right, the crossed sword and flaming torch. This is the class selection. Broadly speaking, a class is how you'll approach combat. While classes in many classic MMORPG games limit what you can or cannot do, The Elder Scrolls Online lets you play however you like with whatever class you like. So no matter what you pick here, you'll still be able to equip every item, use every weapon, and wear any piece of armor, and play in any style. For a casual player, your class choice is simply how you'll start the game, not how you'll be forever. Before we look at the classes, look to the left-hand side of the screen, click on the word Preview, then select Champion Gear. This will give us a better idea of how the classes will look once you've leveled up a bit. Back on the right hand side, we can cycle through the icons. The Dragon Knight class combines the defensive abilities of a shield and magical support abilities to kill enemies and defend their allies. The Sorcerer class can create flames, lightning, ice, or even summon demonic companions, or use healing magic to restore a friend's health. A Nightblade is a master of speed and stealth, being skilled with daggers and ranged weapons. The Templar class specializes in high damage two-handed weapons and channeling the power of the sun. And the Warden uses frost spells and summoned animals to fight. There is a premium paid for 6th class, the Necromancer, available for purchase separately. We won't cover that one here. Remember, your class is just how you'll start, not how you'll be forever. So for this guide, I'll make a Templar. Once you're happy with your class, click the third icon along on the top right, the Vitruvian Man icon. This tab is all about customizing your character's body shape and type. You can move all these individual sliders to manipulate almost every aspect of your physical appearance, from your height to your chest or leg muscle size. To get a more accurate image of the body shape you're creating, change the preview on the left from Champion Gear to No Gear. This will let you see any body markings you add as well. Once you're happy with the physical shape of your avatar, click the final icon on the top right, the profile of a face. This is all about customizing your face and hair. You can change your chin and jaw shape, your cheekbones, your hairstyle and color, or any tattoos or scars you have on your face. There's a massive amount of customization here, so have a play around with it until you're happy. Once you're ready with your race, starting class, physical appearance and looks, enter your character name in the box at the top, then click Create to the bottom right. If, like me, you've played through the tutorial before, you'll be asked if you want to play it again. If this is your first time playing, I highly recommend you play through it, but for this guide, I'll be skipping straight to the main game so I can explain more of the features. Previously, you would have started the game in the main city of your specific alliance. The Daggerfall Covenant starts in Daggerfall, the Aldmeri Dominion start in Vukelgard, and the Ebonheart Pact start in Davon's Watch. But since you've got the Morrowind expansion included for free, it's actually likely you'll begin the game in Vardenfell. That's the landmass the Morrowind expansion takes place in. So now we're in the game, let's cover the basics of the camera and moving around. When the game begins, the camera, that's your viewpoint, will be fully zoomed in, meaning you'll be playing in first-person mode. If you prefer to play in third-person mode, where you can see your character, just scroll the mouse wheel backwards. The camera is controlled by your mouse. You'll look wherever you move the mouse, and you can see the aiming crosshair in the center of your screen. Your character is controlled with the W, A, S, and D keys, moving you forwards, backwards, left, and right. If you double tap a movement direction, you'll roll in that direction. Rolling is useful for avoiding enemy attacks or moving over dangerous terrain. If you hold down the Shift key while moving, you'll begin sprinting. Both rolling and sprinting use up stamina. We'll look at stamina later. Finally, pressing the spacebar will make you jump. Once you've got movement down, we can look at interacting with the world. The great thing about MMORPG games is how you as a player can interact with the world itself, and other players can see you doing this, from moving items around to talking to in-game characters. So let's cover the basics. If a character is controlled by the game, they're known as an NPC, that's non-player character. These include the city guard, shopkeepers, or townsfolk. While not everyone is interested in having a conversation with you, some NPCs can be interacted with and spoken to. Every single conversation in the Elder Scrolls Online is fully voice acted too, and the voice talent is incredibly good, including the likes of Kate Beckinsale, Malcolm McDowell, Troy Baker, Bill Nighy, and John Cleese. To talk to an NPC, walk up to them and see if the on-screen prompt appears saying press E to talk. If it does, press E. On the right hand side you'll see the conversation text and your available replies below it. This guy doesn't have much to say to us, so we can only say goodbye. But you'll notice this NPC has a marker above her head, that little diamond icon. This icon means that NPC is worth talking to. They might have an item or a quest for you. We'll look at quests later. Along with NPCs, we can interact with objects. Sometimes items will be lying out in the open, like this drink on the shelf. Pressing E will take the object and add it to your inventory. You can also find containers like barrels or this trunk at the foot of the bed, which you can search through. Searching a container will show you a list of what's inside it, and you can click an individual item to take it or press the R key to take everything. Be aware though, you can't just take whatever you want wherever you want. If an item or container is owned by an NPC, it will appear in red text when you look at it. And it won't say take from, it will say steal from. Taking something red is against the law and you'll get in trouble with the local guard. We'll look at the criminal system later in this guide. You can also enter most buildings by walking up to the doors and pressing E. You'll be noticing by now that E is basically the interact button. If there's some way you can interact with the game, from opening doors to pulling levers, collecting resources, or even just sitting down on chairs, it's usually done by pressing E. So we've covered moving and interacting, let's look at the user interface. You'll notice it's actually quite bare. There's no icons or images or chat box overlay, and that's by design. The Elder Scrolls Online uses a very minimalist overlay. In fact, the only thing you'll see by default is the compass bar to the very top, which works how it worked in Skyrim. As you run around, you've got the letters for north, south, east, and west, and local points of interest or quest givers will show up as icons on your compass bar, so you know what you're moving towards. To get a more detailed menu overlay, press the left Alt key. This is better. Now we've got some detailed information about our character and some tabs at the top of the screen. Let's go through them and work out what they do. To the very top left, you'll see your current level and the progress bar showing how close you are to your next level. You'll gain experience as you discover new areas, defeat enemies, or complete quests. Now let's look at the icons along the top bar. The leftmost icon is the Crown Store. This is the in-game premium currency shop. You buy crowns with real money or get some included with your ESO Plus membership, and then you can buy cosmetic overrides or additional game content. We don't need to worry about this bit right now. The symbol to the right of this is the Crown Crate Store, where you can open some in-game loot boxes. Don't click on this. The first symbol we're bothered about is the bag icon. This is your inventory. Each of these menus can also be accessed by pressing a specific hotkey. For the inventory, this key is I. On the left-hand side, you can see what items and weapons you currently have equipped. You have equipment slots for your head, shoulders, hands, legs, chest, waist, and feet. When you start the game, you won't have much. You can right-click an equipped item and choose unequip to send it back to your inventory, or right-click an item in your inventory and select Equip. You can also just double-click. Right now I'm wearing a slave shirt, but in my inventory I have a Dishonored Slave's jerkin. You can see when I hover my mouse over the jerkin, both my spell resistance and physical resistance go up and turn green. This is showing me that if I equip this item instead, my stats will go up. Once equipped, you'll see it now tells me equipping the slave shirt will send them back down, and the numbers are red. Use the red and green system to see at a glance if a new item is better for you. Under this, you've got your accessories, including the slot for cosmetic overrides, that's the little hanger icon, then a necklace slot and 2 ring slots. And finally, your weapons. Your main hand item is shown to your left, and your offhand item is shown on the right. Then any poison you have applied is listed next to that. If using one-handed weapons, you can wield any combination: sword and shield, two swords, axe and mace. But if you're using a two-handed weapon like I am here, you'll see the offhand is also being used to wield that weapon. At level 15, you'll unlock the ability to have two weapon sets equipped and switch between them at will. To the right of the icons, you'll see all your vital character statistics. We'll be covering these in the next tab, so don't worry about it for now. On the right-hand side, you'll see your actual inventory, listing all the things you're currently carrying, from items to weapons to crafting materials. You can see the items we took from the ship earlier. To the top right, next to the word items, you'll see 4 icons. The first is 3 cubes. This shows all your items combined. The smaller icons underneath let you sort your inventory further into categories. The 3 concentric circles shows everything. The blade and bow shows only your weapons, the helm is your armor, then your jewelry, potions and consumables, crafting materials, house furnishings, miscellaneous items, quest-specific items, and then finally junk. The next icon along the top is your crafting bag. This is a feature only available to ESO Plus members and provides an unlimited space to store all your crafting materials. We'll look at crafting later on in this guide. The coin icon shows all your collected currency, from gold coins to premium currency crowns or powerful keys to open rare treasure chests. And finally, the lightning bolt icon are your Quickslots. This is a system where you can place certain items like food or healing potions onto a quickly accessible menu to use in the middle of battle. We'll cover this in the combat section. If we return to the main items show all inventory tab, we can see to the bottom you've only got 60 possible inventory spaces, so you won't be able to carry everything you find. The next tab along the top bar icons is character, hotkey C. This lets you see all the relevant information about your character. On the left-hand side, you'll see a list of what you'll gain when you reach the next level, and then below that, what you'll gain at the next major milestone. That's every 5 or 10 levels. On the right-hand side, we've got the important attributes that show us how strong our character is. Your alliance symbol, name, race, and class. Then 4 stars showing how good your overall equipment bonus is right now. This will go up as we equip better things. We don't have any titles or outfits yet. We'll unlock these as we complete quests in the game. Our alliance rank will be low, and our bounty, the amount of money placed onto our heads if we're a wanted criminal, should be at 0. Next we have the 3 main attributes that almost every aspect of the game works around: your Magicka, health, and stamina. Magicka is the blue bar and shows how much magical energy you have. You use Magicka to cast spells and to use magic abilities. This also determines how much damage you'll cause with magical staff weapons and how fast your total Magicka recharges. If you're a wizard or a magic using class, this is a super important stat. Your health is the red bar and shows how much damage you can take before you die and how effective healing items are when used on you. More health means you're less likely to die. And finally, the green stamina bar, which you'll use when you sprint, roll, swing a weapon, break free of bonds, or sneak around. Most of your melee weapon damage is also based on your stamina. When you level up, you'll be able to improve one of these attributes permanently. We'll cover leveling up later on. Below that, you can see exactly what these attributes have given you, how much Magicka, health, and stamina you have, and how fast each one recharges when not in combat. Recovery while in combat is a lot slower. You can also see how much damage your spells or melee weapon attack will do, and the chance of them scoring a high damage critical attack. Below this is your riding skill, which we'll cover in the mounts section of the guide. Pressing left alt or escape will close the menu overlay. Okay, so we know what we're equipped with, what we're carrying in our inventory, and what our character stats do. Let's go adventuring. The Elder Scrolls Online is huge. There's a load of places to explore and it's very easy to get lost. Thankfully, we've got a map and a load of ways to travel around much faster. Pressing M opens your map. You can zoom in with the mouse scroll wheel. You are the little blue arrow. And important places like waypoints, quest NPCs, or hidden enemy camps are all shown on your map, but they'll only appear once you've been close enough to them once. So you'll need to go exploring. If you've been to a place, it'll show in white with a black border. If you've not been there, it'll be black with a white border. Because I'm currently in Vvardenfell, this isn't the map of the whole world, this is just Vvardenfell. If you want to see how big the world is, you can right-click to zoom out and see all of Tamriel. Then right-click again to see the complete landmass and the connected lands of Cold Harbour and the Clockwork City. Left-clicking on a region will zoom you back in. On the left-hand side, you can see the progress bar for how much of a map you've completed, including doing all the quests, exploring all the caves, discovering all the memorable locations, killing all the enemy camps, or finding all of the hidden Skyshards. There are achievements for 100% completing a map. While adventuring around, one of the most important travel methods are the Wayshrines. These are small, safe temples, usually with a fire in the middle. They show up on the map as little tower symbols. When you discover a new Wayshrine, run up to it and it will be added to your map. You can interact with a Wayshrine by pressing E and then instantly teleport to any other discovered Wayshrine for free. If you're lost in the middle of nowhere far from civilization, then don't worry. You can open your map by pressing M, then click on any discovered Wayshrine and teleport to it. But doing this does cost you a small amount of gold. Here's a really nice feature. Remember how each race was meant to have a different starting zone, but now everyone starts in Morrowind? Well, what if you don't want to play the Morrowind adventure first and instead want to start somewhere else? Well, you can. Just interact with a Wayshrine, zoom out and see the mainland Tamriel, and then you'll notice a few Wayshrines are unlocked already. Daggerfall in the west, Vukulgard in the south, and Davon's Watch on the northern shore. You can then instantly teleport to any of these starting zones for free and begin the game there. For this guide, I'll be staying in Morrowind. You can set your own destination marker while pressing F on the map screen. Then when you return to the game, your marker will appear on the compass bar to the top. Now we know what we're equipped with, what we're carrying, and how to navigate around. You're likely to run into some enemies on your journey, so let's look at combat. Combat can be divided down into melee weapons, magical stave weapons, and ranged weapons. We'll look at all the styles and go with melee first. I'm currently using a two-handed sword, but this will apply to most setups. Left click is your basic attack. Click once for a light attack and hold down to charge a heavy attack. Charging a heavy attack uses stamina, and if you don't have any stamina left, your attack will do less damage. Right click is defend. If you're using a shield, you'll hold it up. If you're using a two-handed weapon or dual wielding, you'll block with your weapon, which is slightly less effective. Combat can be as simple as running up to an enemy and hitting it with a basic attack until it dies. When attacked, all enemies will fight back, and sometimes they'll charge their own powerful attacks. If this happens, you'll see a red marker on the floor appear. You need to quickly move out of this red zone by running or rolling to avoid the high damage attack. While it's possible to kill an enemy using only basic attacks, it's not the most effective or most fun thing to do. So let's look at combat skills and abilities. If you open the skills menu, that's hotkey K, you'll see all the stuff you know how to do. And as you get better with weapon types or level through guilds, you'll gain new skills. To unlock a skill, you'll need to spend skill points on it, which you earn when you level up or when you discover Skyshards, which we'll look at later in the guide. On the skills menu page, you can see the game's suggested abilities on the left and your actual abilities on the right. To the left of this list, you can see where all these abilities are coming from. The current selected is class. This shows all the abilities I potentially have because I'm a Templar. The selected list within class is Adric Spear, and I can see on the right all the abilities listed under the Templar Adric Spear style. This is a style dedicated to doing high damage. At the top of this list, I can see the ultimate ability, Radial Sweep. It's locked right now, and the tooltip tells me I need to be ranked 12 in the Adric Spear skill line to unlock it. You increase your rank in a skill line by spending points on it and by using it in the game. The active abilities listed below show all these specific attacks I could potentially use in combat, and then below are the passive abilities, buffs and features that will permanently apply to my character once I unlock them. This is not the only Templar skill line though. There's also Dawn's Wrath, which is focused on magical offensive skills, and the Restoring Light path, which is all about defense and healing. But your class isn't the only place skill lines come from. As you level up, you'll unlock a race-specific skill line, and whenever you use a specific weapon or wear a certain style of armor, you'll unlock those skill lines too, along with guilds, vampire, and werewolf skill lines. To unlock an ability within a skill line, you'll need to spend a point on it. You can see the ability. Puncturing Strikes has the plus symbol, and I have 3 skill points remaining, so let's buy it. With 2 skill points left, I'm also going to buy the Rushed Ceremony from the Healing Templar line and Uppercut from the two-handed weapon line. With these abilities unlocked, I can now drag them onto my hotbar. That's the 5 black boxes you can see below, with each box linked up to the numbered keys 1 to 5 on the keyboard, and the ultimate ability bound to the R key. Now during combat, you'll have access to these 5 abilities, and 1 ultimate ability. You can create absolutely any combination you like out of all the abilities from any skill line you have unlocked, class, racial, weapon, armor, or guild specific. You can mix and match to build your ideal selection of 5 and fight in a style that suits you. With these 3 new abilities added to my hotbar, let's try some more combat. With the new, more powerful abilities, it's much faster. Remember, abilities cost Magicka or stamina to use, and they take a few seconds to cool down before you can use them again. As well as abilities, you'll need to react to your opponent and punish them for making mistakes. When the enemy is charging a powerful attack, shown by a red marker on the ground or power lines charging up into them, you can hold right-click to block, which will absorb some of the damage and prevent you from being knocked down. Or, even better, you can hold right-click to block and then left-click to attack. This will perform a bash attack. If you bash an enemy while they're charging something, you'll stop the attack and daze them. To then really gain an advantage, once the enemy is dazed, hold down left-click to perform a powerful attack. If you hit a dazed enemy with a charged attack, you'll knock them to the ground and hit them for much higher damage. When you defeat an enemy, they might have valuable items or loot on them. You can interact with the corpse just like taking things from a container and then loot the enemy. We've looked at skills and abilities within melee combat, but magic and range work in essentially the same way. A magical stave will have a basic attack tied to the left click with a heavy attack when you hold down the left click, and block with the right click. You can still bash with a magical stave as well. Then, just as before, you'll spend skill points unlocking new abilities in various skill lines, set up your 5 desired abilities, and off you go. There are even sorcerer abilities to imbue your weapon with magical power. So being an axe-wielding sorcerer is a perfectly acceptable strategy. For ranged weapons like bows, it's the same again. Left-click basic attack, hold left for a more powerful shot, spend your skill points, and set up your 5 abilities. Quick note with bows, holding left-click will not hold the shot back. You will automatically loose the arrow once the shot is fully charged. When you do eventually unlock an ultimate ability in any skill line, you'll discover they're much more powerful, like this Summon a Golem sorcerer spell. But what about the Quickslots we mentioned briefly earlier? Well, if you have useful items like potions or single-use spells, you can open up your inventory, go to the Quick Items lightning bolt, and assign specific items to your Quickslots. Then you can bring up your quick menu in battle. On PC, the default key to do this is Q, and then you can quickly use an item you've assigned without needing to open the full inventory. This is useful when you're focused on dodging enemy attacks. The Elder Scrolls Online is very much a game about finding your style of combat and then mastering it. Don't feel you have to play a certain way. Remember to check the Skyshards section of the guide later to gain more skill points, and the Daedric Anchors section to really test your combat skill. So what next? We've covered movement, equipped items, inventory, combat and skill points. Well, now it's time to start becoming a hero and go on some quests. There are loads of types of quests in the Elder Scrolls Online, from the main story quest that everyone goes on to the faction-specific quests that take you through the journeys of the 3 main alliances, to the guild quests, local side quests, crafting quests, or expansion-specific quests. There are a lot of adventures to go on in this game. By pressing J, you'll open your journal. This is a record of all the quests you've completed or are currently on. You can be on up to 25 quests at a time, and the quest journal lets you sort quests by region. The main storyline quests are easy to spot because they have this tunnel entrance style symbol next to them, both on the map and in your quest journal. Zone-specific story quests will have this fancy diamond looking symbol, and side quests will have a regular down pointing arrow. This lets you see at a glance which quests on your list are side quests, which are story, and which is the main plot. To start a quest, you can talk to an NPC with a quest symbol above their head, or interact with an item, or even just be in a certain place at a certain time and have an NPC approach you. As you journey through Tamriel, quests will start in the strangest of places. From asking a guard if there's anything to do, to finding a murder scene along a forest path, quests are everywhere. This character of mine is in Volkal Guard, and I can see an NPC with a quest symbol above her head. I can see it's likely a side quest, so I'll go and talk to her. She needs me to track down an outlaw by heading to an outlaw's refuge. If I open my journal, I can see the quest has been added to my list. You can have 25 quests tracked at once, but to make navigation easy, you can only have one selected and focused on. Selecting a quest from the list will add the tracker to your compass bar, so you know you're heading in the right direction. You can also open the journal, select a quest, and press M to open the map and show you exactly where that quest is and where you need to go to. Quests you're on but aren't currently tracking will show up as black icons outlined in white. The active quest you're choosing to track will show as a white icon outlined in black. Sometimes the quest destination is far away or even on a different map, like the footage now. If that's the case, the tracker will actually lead you to the closest, most efficient transport method to get you to the right map. In this case, it's leading me to the boat to Daggerfall. Quests can be many things. Sometimes it's hunting down a bandit leader, other times finding lost treasure, collecting herbs or rare ingredients, or eventually convincing the leaders of the 3 major alliances to work together for the good of the whole land. You'll start from humble beginnings and rise through the ranks to take on greater and greater challenges. Completing quests is one of the best ways to explore the map and the whole game, discover hidden areas and earn experience. Some questlines, such as guild questlines, will unlock new skills, abilities, or armor. If you're ever stuck on a quest and not sure where to go or what to do, you can check the extensive Elder Scrolls Online wiki. I'll put a link to it in the video description. It contains all the quests and the wiki will help you solve most of the problems. But what if questing and combat isn't really your thing? What if you're more of an artisan and want to gather your own materials and craft your own equipment? Well, you can do that. In the Elder Scrolls Online, you can gather raw materials from around the world needed to create weapons, armor, or jewelry, then make all the equipment you need, even improving it and enchanting it as you get more powerful. To start training a profession, first you'll need to unlock that profession's skill line. This is very simple. Just head to a main city and interact with one of the crafting stations, the woodworking station for making staves and shields, the tailoring station for cloth armor, and blacksmithing for making metal weapons and armor. You can find these stations quite easily by opening your map and looking for the various crafting icons. There's a table on screen now showing what all the icons mean. Each crafting discipline can turn raw materials into useful things, but first we'll need to gather the raw materials. Alchemy creates potions and needs herbs and animal parts picked from wild animals and plants. Blacksmithing makes metal weapons and armor and needs metal ore, found in deposits around the world. The clothier makes light armor and needs flax or fibers to spin, either picked from plants or taken from the hides of dead animals. Enchanting uses magical runestones to make your items better. These stones can be found on defeated enemies or in small shrines around the world. Jewelry uses fine metallic dust to create necklaces and rings, but you will require the Somerset expansion to access jewelry making. Provisioning is what the Elder Scrolls calls cooking and turns various basic foodstuffs into more fulfilling meals, and woodworking cuts down logs and then makes them into magical staves or shields. Wood can be cut down all over Tamriel. Crafting skill lines work just like combat skill lines. The more you do them, the better you get, and as you gain skill points from leveling up, you can unlock new crafting abilities, allowing you to work with higher level materials. Let's start some blacksmithing and make a really basic weapon. First of all, I need the raw materials, some iron ore. This is found all over the world, usually by rocks or mountains, or it can be dropped by some enemies, so I'll just wander around until I find some. It took quite a while to find the iron ore, but on my journey I did manage to find some butterflies for alchemy and some runestones for enchanting, and defeating some enemies gave me some hides for tailoring. In fact, I managed to find pretty much everything before I finally found an iron ore deposit, because they're actually pretty hard to spot amongst the rocks. Eventually, I find and mine some. I can now return to a blacksmith station and begin making something. I'm quite far away from a town by now, but I can see there's a Wayshire close by on my map, so I can run to it, activate it, and teleport back for free. Now I've gathered the raw materials required, we can look at the crafting interface. Activating a crafting station, be that blacksmithing, clothing, or woodworking, will bring up the crafting interface. Let's go through this. On the left-hand side, you can see what you're currently equipped with, but what we really care about is over here, the right-hand side interface. In this guide, I'll be showing the blacksmithing skill, but it's the same for all the others. Along the top of the crafting interface, you've got 6 main icons. The first shows a tool with rubble. This is the refining page. This is where you can turn the raw collected materials into crafting-specific workable materials. you can see the iron ore I've collected is listed. Clicking the iron ore adds it to the refine selection. You need a minimum of 10 iron ore to refine, and 10 iron ore will produce between 7 and 10 iron bars. Press R to refine. Now we have some iron bars to work with. We can click the next icon along the top right to go to the creation page. While on the creation page, we can switch between creating weapons or creating armor with these two tabs. We'll stick with weapons for now. The 3 tick boxes underneath let me simplify this interface slightly. You can choose to only display recipes you have the items on you to make, have the knowledge to make, or are quest specific. To show you the complexity of crafting, I'm leaving all of these unticked. So let's go to the first choice, type of weapon. The top choice is what type of thing we want to make. Which weapon type will it be? Bigger weapons will need more materials. Let's make a maul. Now the material choice. The lowest level is iron. You can scroll through this list to make items from rarer and better materials, creating higher quality weapons. For now, we'll stick with iron. You can see from the brackets that iron items cover levels 1 to level 14, and as it stands, making a level 1 maul will require 5 iron ingots. But if I click the plus symbol next to the level, I'll increase the level of the item I'm trying to make, and the ingot requirement will go up. It takes more materials to make higher level items. For this guide, we'll keep it simple and make a level 1 maul. Next, a choice of style. You will start the game knowing how to make items in the style of your specific race, but as you adventure and journey around, you will find motif books or pages, either looted from enemies, found in dungeons, or bought from other players. These books allow you to unlock the ability to craft things in that style. The style choice is completely aesthetic. It's all about making what you like the look of. Once you've learned a style, you'll also need a specific item. Each style has a unique item that you need to add to your crafting process for that style. For the Nordic style, it's corundum. If we scroll through the styles, we can see the Argonian style needs flint, High Elf needs adamantite, and Wood Elf needs bone. You need to both know the style and have the style-specific item to make something in that style. For now, we'll have to use the Nord style. And the final choice, traits. Once you've researched and unlocked a specific weapon trait, and you have the corresponding rare gem to add to your crafting process, you can make each weapon unique and give it special properties. Just like style, you need to both know the technique and have the right rare material to add a trait to a weapon. Traits can increase the weapon's damage, increase the experience you gain from killing enemies, or increase your defense. There are 9 possible traits. For now, I don't have any, so I'll select none. In the middle of the screen, I can see the item I'm about to create, a level 1 iron maul in the Nordic style with no traits, so I can press R to craft the item. Doing so will give me some blacksmithing experience. With the maul made, I could equip it and go and smash some enemies up, but that's not all there is to crafting. Let's look at the other icons along the top. The next is Deconstruct. While creation is about turning materials into items, this is about turning items back into materials. You will see the iron maul we just made. The Deconstruct menu won't show what you have equipped, so you can't accidentally deconstruct whatever you're using at the time. Deconstructing an item gives some blacksmithing experience and a chance to return some of the materials. This is a useful process if you find lots of weapons or armor while adventuring and would rather have the materials instead of the items. If I deconstruct the iron maul I just made, we can see what we get back. Not as much as we spent to make it, but the experience is nice. The next icon along the top is Improvement. This is where you can make your items better. Item quality goes in a linear path from normal through fine, superior, epic, and legendary. And to upgrade an item from each level to the next takes tempers, special upgrade items. You can see the temper requirement to the bottom. Increasing an item's rarity tier increases that item's level by 3. To go from normal to fine needs honing stones within blacksmithing, but check this out. You can see from the bottom that using 5 honing stones gives a 100% upgrade chance, but if I decrease the number of stones I'm using, the chance of upgrading goes down. It's a risk you can choose to take, using less temper items and upgrading early, but if you fail the upgrade, you'll lose the tempers and the item. So it's often worth waiting for a 100% success chance. Deconstructing higher level items can sometimes reward you with rare tempers. The final icon along the top we need to worry about is research. This is how we gain the knowledge of traits. If you're lucky enough to find a rare item in the world that has a trait, you can choose to research it. This will destroy the item, but give you the knowledge you needed to then add that trait to that item type when you create it. Traits are researched on an item type basis. If I scroll through the list, you can see I have a great sword with the training trait on me, so I can choose to research that trait, destroy the sword, but gain the knowledge. Researching traits takes time, with the time increasing the more you learn. There's a table on screen now showing trait research times, and that is crafting, a complex system that allows you to create your ideal character setup. If you don't have enough crafting materials, from raw materials to upgrade tempers, or even wanting to buy weapons with traits just to research them, you can buy them from a vendor or another player. So let's look at trading. Trading lets you buy or sell items to NPCs or other players. If an NPC has a specific job, it will be shown under their name in pointed brackets. You can see this guy is a blacksmith, so he'll likely sell blacksmithing stuff. And over here, this is a simple merchant. Talk to the NPC and select the Store chat option to go to the store page. On top of the store window, you'll see a bag icon with an arrow going down out of the bag. This is the buy page. Everything we can buy from this merchant. You can scroll down the list and see the prices on the right, and then how much gold you have to the bottom right. Double-click on an item to buy it, or right-click and select Buy Multiple. If you want to sell an item to an NPC, click the icon of the bag with the arrow pointing up. This will show your inventory and everything you have to sell. Remember, some items may not have a resale value, and not every merchant will want to buy every item. If you accidentally sell something that you didn't mean to, you can go to the Buyback tab and purchase your item back for the same amount of gold you sold it for, so you won't lose anything. The last tab on this merchant is Repair, which refills the durability of armor and weapons. Durability loss happens on death, and we'll look at death later. If the merchant doesn't have what you need, then you should talk to a guild vendor. These are NPCs owned by in-game player-run guilds. They act as shop fronts and allow the guild members to advertise their wares to other players. Guild traders are often found outside the gates of major cities and allow you to search through the guild's stock and buy it from them. On the shop page, you'll see the name of the guild displayed above. Then you can use the search box to find an item, and press R to search through the stock. If a guild vendor doesn't have what you need, you can always interact with and trade directly to another player. So let's have a look at that. As an MMORPG, other players will be everywhere. You don't have to adventure alone. The simplest way to communicate is to type. You can press enter to bring up the text box, type your message, then press enter again. Everyone local will be able to see what you've typed. If you have a player on your friends list, you can private message them no matter where they are in the game. To interact with another player, stand by them and hold the F key. You'll bring up the radial menu. Clockwise from the top, the options are Add Friend. Adding a player to your friends list accessed by hotkey O lets you see who's online, send private messages, or send that player items through the mail system. The next option is Invite to Group, which we'll look at next. Below that is Send Whisper, which is a private message between you and that player that won't show up in public chat. The bottom choice is Cancel, which will close the radial menu. The two arrows in a loop is the Trade Invitation. Once you send a trade request, the other player must accept, and then you can switch over items or gold. Some items, like quest-specific items, cannot be traded. Unlike shops, a trade does not have to be fair. You can give another player as much value as you like. The next is Invite to Duel, which will start a fight between you and the other player. Dueling another player isn't against the law, and if you lose the duel, you won't die. It's mainly for fun. And finally, Report Player. If someone is harassing or abusing you, or exploiting a bug within the game, you can send that information to the developers. Working with players and forming groups is essential for the harder content, like exploring dungeons or defeating tough bosses together, but that's for more advanced content. We'll look at that later in the guide. For now, let's look at something else you'll face pretty early on in the game, and that is death. When your health is taken to 0, you'll die, but don't worry because it's not really a big deal. If you have a filled soul gem, that's created by using the soul trap ability on an enemy, then killing them while you have an empty soul gem on you, you can just revive instantly where you were. If you do not have a filled soul gem, you can revive for free at the nearest Wayshrine. If you have a high-level healer in your party, you can wait for them to resurrect you. You'll die quite a few times while exploring, so always try and bring a few healing potions, some food, or a good friend with you. Remember, when you die, you'll take a small amount of equipment durability damage, and your equipment will get weaker. Head to a merchant and choose the Repair option from the top right to fix your equipment back up. This costs a small amount of gold. Eventually, after winning enough fights, completing enough quests and not dying, you'll level up. This is a rather simple process. Once you've gathered enough experience to reach the next level, you'll see an on-screen prompt, and when you press the key, you'll be given a list of free things you've achieved on the left and given the ability to increase your Magicka, health or stamina permanently by 1. You'll also gain a few skill points to spend on any of your unlocked skill lines. One extremely important aspect of leveling up your abilities within skill lines comes from morphing the ability. As you use it more and more, you'll notice the little plus symbol, which was there when you bought it, has been replaced with 3 small squares. This means the ability is ready to morph. Morphing an ability lets you choose which of 2 versions it becomes. They're both more powerful than the original, but will add a different effect. For help on which morphs are best or which playstyles benefit from which morphs, read up on the class guides on the wiki. The maximum level you can reach is 50, however the journey doesn't stop there. Once you've hit level 50, you'll begin acquiring champion points. Champion points can be spent on perks to make yourself even more powerful. This is an endgame system that we won't need to worry about for now. As you level up, you'll probably want to unlock lots of abilities, which means you'll need to find lots of ability points. That means you'll need to go Skyshard hunting. Scattered around the land are bright white crystals, easy to spot because they shine a bright beam of light into the sky. This is a Skyshard, and there are many of them hidden around each map. For every 3 Skyshards you find, you'll gain a skill point. Finding every Skyshard on a map is also part of that map's completion achievement. For a complete list and location of all the Skyshards, check the wiki. Just be aware that hunting them all is quite a long journey. When you reach level 10, you'll unlock lots of things all in one go. A free mount, the dungeon finder, and player versus player alliance war. So let's cover those quickly. If you open your collection log, that's hotkey U, or the circle, square, and triangle icon on the top menu bar, you can see everything you've collected in-game. If you scroll down to your mounts section, you'll see a sorrel horse is added for free once you reach level 10. To summon your horse, simply press H on the keyboard. And now you can ride around a bit faster. Horses can sprint, and the horse's stamina is separate to your own. If a horse runs out of stamina, it can still sprint, but if you're attacked while you're on it and it has no stamina, you'll be knocked off. Another level 10 feature is the large-scale player versus player alliance war. This is a constant battle that takes place in the central map of Cyrodiil between the 3 major factions. Press L to open the alliance war menu. Choose Cyrodiil on the left, then a campaign within the Cyrodiil menu. Here I'll choose below level 50. The only campaign available here is Ice Reach, so I'll just choose that one. The Cyrodiil map is huge, and while you're on it, you can't use the Wayshrines from the map to teleport about. You need to head to a friendly-owned bastion and teleport to your main Wayshrine. I'll cover this in more detail in a beginner's PvP guide. Along with mounts and PvP unlocking at level 10, you'll now be able to use the dungeon finder to help you find a group, and to go take on low to mid-level combat challenges, the dungeons. Once you reach level 10, press P to open the Group and Activity Finder menu, then select your role on the left. In most MMORPGs, players are divided into 3 main combat roles, known as the Holy Trinity. They are tanks, healers, and damage dealers, or DPS, which stands for damage per second. The tank's job is to have high health and high defense, holding all the enemy's attention and not die. The healer's job is to keep the tank alive. While this is happening in any combat scenario, the damage dealers will actually kill the enemies. You'll need to select which of these roles you will be by clicking on the role icon. Quick note, if you're not a tank, don't queue up as a tank. Your party will expect you to hold the enemy's attention, and if you're not able to do that, you'll all have a hard time in the dungeon. Tanks and healers are always needed in games, so learning how to tank and how to heal will mean you're always in high demand for dungeon parties. Once you've set your role, click Dungeon Finder just below it. Then Join Queue on the right, and then simply wait. You can leave this page and continue adventuring while you wait for the queue to gather all the people it needs. You can choose to queue for a random dungeon, which will give you extra rewards, or for a specific dungeon. To make the queue go quicker, just queue for a random dungeon. A dungeon is a challenging linear adventure where your group will fight through smaller, easier enemies known as mobs, and then take on the big boss at the end. Finishing a dungeon usually rewards you with valuable loot and gives a lot of experience. Dungeons are a great place to level up and find items. But if staying above the lore and crafting or exploring dungeons sounds boring, you could consider becoming a criminal. The criminal system in the Elder Scrolls Online works by placing a bounty onto you from any criminal act you do. This includes stealing from shops, attacking guards or NPCs, or being caught attempting to pick open a lock of a locked door. For the Necromancer class, some of your abilities, such as summoning skeletons in the middle of cities, are also considered criminal. The worse your crime, the higher the bounty. If a city guard sees you while there's an active bounty on you, they'll chase you down and fight you. If the bounty is relatively minor, you'll be given the chance to pay it off, or resist arrest and fight the guard, but honestly, at lower levels, you won't win in this fight. Your bounty will naturally reduce over time, so if you do commit a crime and you don't want to pay for it, just leave any major cities and stay in the wilderness for a while, and wait for your crime to be forgotten. If you really want to follow a life of crime, consider buying the Dark Brotherhood or Thieves Guild expansion DLC, which focus on stealing, murdering, and generally not being a very nice person. This guide is nearing 50 minutes long, and we've still not covered everything. We've still got to cover Daedric anchors that fall from the sky and latch into the ground, undaunted high-level dungeons, player-owned housing, relic hunting from Greymore, training your mount, vampire and werewolf skill lines, stealth assassinations. There's so much more to this game. But now you know the basics. You know enough to survive the first few levels and make a solid start on the main quest. If you've made it this far through the video, then well done. If you have any questions or comments, then leave them below and I'll try my best to get back to you. These guides take me several hundred hours to write, record and edit, so a big thank you to my supporters on Patreon and Twitch who make them all possible. If you're starting your adventure in the Elder Scrolls Online, then let me know, and if you'd like to message me in the game, my character handle is @JoshStrifeHayes, or you can join our Discord, link in the video description. Thank you for your time, and as always, have a great day.